One thing about being a private investigator, you gotta learn to go with your hunches. That's why when a quivering pat of butter named Word Babcock walked into my office and laid his cards on the table, I should have trusted the cold chill that shot up my spine.
You gotta help me. I'm being blackmailed.
Suppose you relax and tell me about it.
Well, I'm on the road a lot, and you know how it is. It's lonely. Oh, no. It's not what you're thinking. See, Kaiser, I'm strictly an intellectual. I mean, sure, a guy can meet all the bimbos he wants, but it's those really brainy women. They're not easy to find on short notice.
Keep talking.
Well, I heard about this young girl. She's 18 years old, a Yasser student. And for a price, she'll come over and discuss any subject. Proust, Yeats, anthropology. It's an exchange of ideas. See what I'm driving at?
No, not exactly.
I mean, my wife is great, don't get me wrong, but she won't discuss Pound with me, or Elliot.
So he was one of those guys whose weakness was really bright women. I felt sorry for the poor sap. I figured there must be a lot of jokers in his position, who were starved for a little intellectual communication with the opposite sex and, frankly, would pay through the nose for it.
I mean, Christ, Kaiser, I'm a happily married man, but when I get that craving, I call Flossie. She's a madam with a master's in comparative lit. But now she's threatening to tell my wife.
Who is?
Flossie. They bugged the motel room. They got tapes of me discussing the wasteland and styles of radical will and really getting into some serious topics. And they want 10 grand or they go to tell Carl. I mean, Kaiser, please, you have to help me.
All right, get a hold of yourself. Get Flossie on the phone for me. I'll take your case, Word. But it'll be $50 a day plus expenses.
Hello?
I'd like to set up an hour of good chat. I understand you can help me out with that.
Sure, honey. What do you have in mind?
I'd like to discuss Melville. What'll it run me?
50. Maybe 100 for Moby Dick.
Okay.
You want a comparative discussion? Melville and Hawthorne? That could be arranged for 100. Symbolism's extra.
Yeah. The dough's fine. Tell the dame to meet me in room 309 of the plaza in an hour. I'll be waiting.
Hi. I'm Sherry.
I'm surprised you weren't stopped walking into the hotel dressed like that. The house dick can usually spot an intellectual.
Well, a 5-spot usually cools him.
So, how does this usually begin?
Well, I think we could start by approaching Billy Budd as Melville's justification of the ways of God to man, n'est-ce pas?
Interestingly, though, not in the Miltonian sense.
No. Paradise Lost lacks the substructure of pessimism.
Right. God, you're right.
I let her go on. She was barely 19 years old, but already she had developed the hardened facility of a pseudo-intellectual. She rattled off her ideas glibly, but it was all mechanical. Whenever I offered an insight, she faked a response.
Yes, Kaiser, baby, that's deep. A Platonic comprehension of Christianity. Why didn't I think of that?
Well.
Thanks, honey.
There's plenty more where that came from.
What are you trying to say?
Suppose I wanted to have a party.
What kind of party?
Suppose I wanted Noam Chomsky explained to me by 2 gals.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if you'd rather forget about it.
You'll have to talk to Flossie. It'll cost you.
I'm Fuzz, sugar.
What?
That's right. The jig is up. Discussing Melville for money, that's an 802. It'll cost you.
Don't turn me in. I needed the money to complete my master's. I've been turned out for a grant, twice. Oh, Christ. I needed the money. My girlfriend said she knew this married guy whose wife wasn't very profound. He was into Blake. She couldn't handle it, so I said, sure. For a price, I'll talk Blake with him.
It all poured out. The whole story. Central Park West upbringing, socialist summer camps, Brandeis. She was every dame you saw waiting in line at the Elgin or the Talia, or penciling the words, yes, very true, into the margin of some book on Kant. Only, somewhere along the line, she had made a wrong turn.
Do yourself a favor, sweetheart. Send Madame Flossie a message for me. Tell her to stop squeezing word Babcock, and you'll find yourself off the hook.
Later that night, I returned to my office where I proceeded to drink and smoke myself into a stupor. No, that's too depressing. I don't need to be completely forthcoming here. Okay. Got it. Later that evening, I returned and I mulled over the case that was. No, mulled over? That sounds who uses the word mulled? Later that evening, I went and visited my grandmother Marcine for some of her famous Hamantaschen cookies. No, this is... Okay, this is just completely extraneous. This has nothing to do with it. Later that night, I thought about the old call girl racket. Yeah, this is it. I had heard rumors that the boys at headquarters were onto something involving a group of educated women. Instead of intercourse, they dealt in intellectual discourse. The perfect evening for some guys. Great town, New York.